How about that?
Yeah, good.
Yeah.
And I think we'll leave our names there. Some people want to take the names off, but I think it helps to remind people who we are, right?
Yeah.
But Peter, don't make out that I'm doing the marketing, because I'm not.
Just speak up a bit louder. Hang on, I'll turn your volume up.
I'm getting rid of my microphone, so I can't talk anymore. Bye-bye.
Yeah, I was saying, don't make out I'm doing any of the marketing, because I'm not. That's another group. We've got the whole thing's been reorganized. We've got several groups on the board now, each focusing on different areas, and it's quite good.
And what's your main area?
Well, others are doing membership. I'm focusing now on holding on to members that we might otherwise lose.
Okay, all right.
But I do work on membership as well as part of a group.
Okay, we're ready to go?
Yeah.
Thank you. That was good. Okay, today I want to introduce Ron Millet. Now, Ron's on the board of the English Bridge Union, the EBU, and been on it for a number of years now, taken an interest in the marketing along the way, but now he's particularly looking at the membership situation for the EBU, and we're going to today discuss some of the similarities and any differences between the situation in the UK and the situation in Australia. So Ron, welcome to the show.
Hi there.
Now, how has the COVID affected you in the UK for Bridge?
Quite badly, actually. It's getting better, but only about half our members have been active that we're aware of. That's mainly on virtual play, but also a little.
Ron has frozen on my screen.
Yeah, mine too.
All right, let him solve that problem. You got enough of the intro. I don't need to do that again, do
I think we're right.
he may have to turn his thing off.
I think it's because he was answering a question when he froze.
Yeah, he may have to turn his off and turn it back on again. John, what you're looking at is Angie's just done the revised vision of the.
Yeah, I saw.
What do you think?
Looks all right, I think.
Yeah, I think it looks okay, don't you? Let's see how it looks when you edit this together and see. I looked at your one of the Sharma one, and I thought it came up very nicely. The audio's all very good. Did you have to even up our audios, or were they pretty natural levels of the two of them?
No, it's pretty. No, that was all my audio, I think. No, it's your audio to start. Yeah. No, it was quite good.
And the other thing I thought was, gee, having the two cameras really adds a lot to it.
Oh, yeah.
The two different angles. Otherwise, we would have been fixed straight onto him all the time. And I thought, and the pictures seem to be reasonably equivalent pictures to each other, right?
Yes.
So I thought that was good from that point of view as well, but it did show the advantage of a two-camera shoot, didn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. It was actually a three-camera shoot. I had my little GoPro.
Yeah. Did you use any of that or not?
A couple of shots, yeah.
And did it look any different on the GoPro?
It looked a bit shakier.
Yeah, well, you can't hold it still, can you?
Yeah.
That's the point.
But I think for some of these things, like, for example, if you've got a big tournament, it'd be good to get a GoPro in there early and do a time lapse of everyone setting up or everyone coming in or something like that.
Yeah, no. Well, did you have a look at that? Did you have a look at the things I sent you and the videos?
Pretty much, yeah.
Now, you would have seen on those videos that they had it for they had a setup on one of those of the thing that they go through in the hall, you know, in setting up the hall.
Yeah, I didn't see an actual time lapse, but yeah, I saw lots of shots setting
Yeah.
up.
We had an even better time lapse one if I can find it, but anyway, just I thought.
No, that's all right.
John Hollins is talking. Yeah, that's okay. Well, he hasn't come back too quick, has he?
Does he know he's not here? Must do.
I think he would have woken up to it by now. And he only needs to go back to his email and re-enter again through that.
Have you got a phone number for him?
No. Well, I presume the phone goes to England. That's the point. I don't have a local phone number for him.
Oh, yeah.
But he'll probably come back.
It's interesting because I've got the side by side on my main screen. Oh, not now. I've only got the two of us.
Yeah, sure.
I had the side by side on my main screen, which is the one I record. But on the other screen was switching speaker to speaker between the two of you.
Okay.
I've got my name back up on screen now on my second screen, but that's only just, you know, a little while ago.
Well, I can probably now.
I think it was when he bailed out completely, when his signal completely.
Okay, here he comes now. Hey, he's back again.
Back again, yep.
So,
Battery?
Ron, did your battery fail on your computer? You didn't have to
No. I'll tell you what is interesting. It's a different Zoom format they're using now, because it was just a microphone for muting. Last time it was a pair of headphones, the icon. So maybe you're using a different channel. Can you hear me?
Yeah,
Do
we
you
can hear
normally
you.
use headphones?
Sorry?
Do you normally use headphones on a Zoom?
Never.
No.
I don't, no.
Okay, we ready?
Yeah, fair away.
All right, so let's go back to start again on what the situation is in the UK.
Are you going to ask the question or shall I go straight in?
No, you can go straight to it if it's necessary. I can always put the question back in.
Okay, so I'm not sure what it's like in Australia, but in the UK, in England, which is what the EBU covers, we've got about half our members playing now, which is an improvement on what it used to be. Most virtually, 1 or 2 on clubs. Our concern is that those who have not been playing for a year, 18 months, we may lose them permanently. And that's a big worry. And it's a worry that's recognised by everyone, and we're going to be working on it.
Well, Ron, I noticed in looking at our figures that from your AGM for the English Bridge Union that you were saying then you had, before COVID, you had 36,500 active members, which is about the same number as we have in Australia, and yet the population of the UK is obviously 2 to 3 times bigger than Australia. But it said here, it dropped from the 36,000 down to 17,000. So how were they able to drop out of the system? Do they pay as they go or something? Or
they pay as they go, yeah. They pay as they go.
Is that a monthly, weekly, or how does that, or per match?
It's something we call universal membership, so that every time someone sits down at a table, there's a levy, a small levy raised on them that goes to the central body. That's in addition to what the club charges and possibly what the county charges as well. Currently it's 40p, which is what, about 75 cents?
Absolutely. Now, yes, so our figures, I worked on our figures. We're down about 9% now, and comparison to, let's say, March 2019 when COVID first hit. Right? But we have our memberships are paid yearly, and therefore we didn't lose such drastic amounts along the way. But that 9–10% is 3,500 people, 3,000 people that we have lost in Australia. And like you, we have the same problem. How do we get them back? What are your thoughts on that?
Well, hang on. You're down 9 to 10%. That's in receipts. but are you down only 9-10% in player activity?
Well, that's a good question. And yes, I've done work on that, probably about that as well. I mean, the big thing is that, as you know, with online was a big success in the UK. To my figures, we probably had about 35% of our members played online. I think yours is probably more like 50%.
That's right.
So, you know, you had half your playing. Now, for both of this means if they weren't playing in the clubs and they weren't playing online, then that's a lot of people, you know, that haven't played very much bridge for the last year or two, have they?
Well, that's right. And it's a strange thing because it's something that you see across the skill set from the beginners. Well, not I'll talk to you about the beginners in a minute, to the really skilled ones. Some people at all levels just don't think it's bridge to be playing virtually online. And I've known really top class players who and I mean top class, simply will not play unless it's face to face. The problem is that there's a deeper, long strategy problem, and it's this: as we're taking on new members and teaching them, we're teaching them online, not face to face. So that will be their natural understanding of bridge, and it will often be a big ask to get them to transfer from online to face to face. In England, why should they travel on a dark winter's night 5 miles to go and play in somewhere they're not very familiar with, and then come back in a rainstorm to get home at 11 o'clock at night, when they can do it anytime in the comfort of their own sitting room? Of course, you lose something.
Well, I think the interesting difference between Australia, US and the UK is that I think in America, but certainly in Australia, evening bridge has been dead now for quite a while. It was falling over the years. Some clubs hold a competition night, say one night a week, and that gets reasonable attendances, but that's only of the top players, right? So we had this factor that the players who are online are happy online, and I agree with your problem there. For those people, even myself, I enjoyed playing online and liked it and liked the availability, all the reasons that you said. But if our committee, for example, I know a prominent person on our committee basically refuses to play online. They dislike the concept so much, and that has weighted the argument to some degree. So, you know, and if let's say the good thing about online was you would hope that we got some younger people coming online, though no evidence to support that at this time, who might be influenced by it. But, you know, does this mean that the clubs themselves are in danger? I mean, I've looked at the figures for both the UK and Australia. We the average club has less than 90 members. We're slightly
same here.
Yeah, ours are slightly higher than yours, but the same sort of dimensions, right? And the same thing in the S. So we have a lot of very small clubs, and they certainly haven't, the very smallest ones haven't done well out of COVID. You know, they haven't had enough people to play. Even the club where I direct, we're actually not playing for the next 4 weeks while this COVID gets sorted out in Australia. And, you know, we're now in late January, and we need to do that. Because we have a very old clientele in our club, and they just don't want to take the risk. So, yeah, so in the long term, are we looking at the demise of bridge altogether as a sport, leisure activity, whatever you want to call it?
Well, few points. First of all, in one sense, we're behind you because we've started playing much more daytime bridge, and we are following you on that. And I can understand that it gets very hot in Australia, and you don't want to be out. When you're of a certain age, you don't want to be outside. You'd sooner be in a cooler, air-conditioned environment. Are we under threat? Well, no. Let me say one other thing first. It doesn't automatically mean that a small club is going to fail because it's small, or necessarily a large one succeed. It depends on the character and quality of the people running it. And we've seen it many times that a big, good club starts to falter when its key workers or key organisers get older, retire, lose interest, and you can have a small, lively club because there's one or two people who are really driven and believe in what they're doing. So that leads to the other answer. It's in our hands. We need to market it or push it and say, look, this is the new bridge. So it may be less acceptable to traditional players, although not necessarily so, but it may be more acceptable to a whole load of new people who are familiar with playing computer games. For example, there's one international player who plays in our club in Leeds, plays for England, but she's also a fanatic gamer. And I understand her house is full of gaming equipment, screens and so on. So there's a huge area there of possibly younger people, this lady is younger, who, if we market it and present it properly, may be attracted to bridge. After all, they did it with poker a few years ago, which I still consider a scruffy game in comparison. But it's up to us. Is it a threat or an opportunity? As with any business or organization, we've got to take the view, well, it is a threat, but it's also an opportunity. So let's encourage the face-to-face clubs, but let's develop the virtual play as well.
I noticed in your summary of your board meeting that, or your AGM, that you used the word dormant members. And I thought that was a very interesting concept, right? That for all of us, we have a fairly sizable section of bridge players who don't play very much.
That's right. Now, the interesting thing about this, we suspect, but we're not sure, that virtual play has enabled such people to play. It's become easier. You know, you get somebody who's in a wheelchair or a one-parent family or is making supper for the kids. They just can't get out at the time. But if they can sort of log in and boil the spaghetti while they're playing a hand, it's not. I mean, we had one situation where Leslie was playing in a competition with somebody, and that somebody was on the way from work, and they played one hand in the car, another hand in the car park on the smartphone, and then went into their flat and joined the virtual play proper.
Another aspect is the type of person we're getting. As we both know, they're late 60s, 60 onwards. Certainly our average is about 68 or so of people coming into bridge. So they're never going to become champions. They may become good players, perfectly adequate players and play in a club, but also they're coming in because it is a social environment. You know, Andrew Robson, one of your great teachers and players in England, talks about this, that he's worried about the movement away from playing in congresses, high-level competition, to really it being a social engagement area these days. And therefore, this way we run our clubs has to be different. The way directors behave, the way the people in the club behave have to change, to my way of thinking, to be a much more sociable and inclusive group, where we know that behaviour of bridge players is a problem, certainly in our country and I think in other places in the world.
Well, that's dying out, metaphorically and literally, because your objectional player, not always, but often, is your skilled player. And if you start to learn at 65, given life expectancy, you got that player for 15 years.
That's right.
And then they're not with us anymore, or they're certainly not with a few exceptions, not in a mood to play bridge. So they're never going to develop the skill.
You mentioned earlier about teaching online.
Yeah.
How many clubs did you get to actually teach online, Ron?
Well, Yorkshire ran a special series there. Yorkshire's got 34 clubs. They invited them all to join in. 10 did, and the way it worked, was it 12? 12 joined in. The presentation and the platform for play afterwards was provided by the county, but the clubs themselves sourced the candidates and managed them. We started off with over 300 people taking part. There were 30 lessons. If you want to play socially, I think you only need the first 15 or 20, quite frankly. By the end, there was still well over 100. 150, I'm told. So, and they had not congresses, but mini competitions and that sort of thing. And we're not the only one doing it. Other counties and individual clubs are doing it as well.
So you had a retention rate of about 50%, 150 of the 300.
Which I think is terrific, actually. I think the previous retention rates face-to-face been the order of about a third, perhaps less.
Absolutely. No, you're correct. And
maybe the reason for that is, yes, we talk about the social content, but it's like going to the pictures or going to the restaurant or any social activity. They can do it when they want, for as long as they want, as much as they want. So there's not the coercion there's a slight coercion when you go to face-to-face, isn't there? I mean, how many times have you been on BBO and think, this person I'm playing with is an idiot, I'm off, and you just leave? Well, you can't do that in a club.
No. So the other thing I think about the teaching is, how did you technically do it? Did you use Real Bridge or did you use BBO for the actual?
No. The presentations were live on Zoom with hands and some wording displayed on the screen. And then one of our colleagues has developed his own simple playing platform for supervised play only, which I'm sure he'll let anybody have for a small charge. He's done it commercially, but it's not expensive. And the clubs themselves supervise the play for their members on that platform. And our county provided the use of that platform for free.
So this is basically a PowerPoint presentation with the information going through as you're teaching, and the person.
It was a bit more social than that, because everybody could see everybody watching.
Absolutely.
And there were comments going on in typed comments during the presentation. We were also fortunate that we had several people who were not just good, extremely good in their sort of easy-mannered, relaxed, but organized way they went about it. But there again, it's luck. You get the right people.
Because one of the things that's happened in the last couple of years is that we've lost the intake of new players we would normally get. In Australia, it's about 3,000. I think in your notes, you say about 4,000 in the UK.
That's right.
Players. And because we've had very little teaching, we had one person in Australia, Paul Marston, who put a lot of effort into it, and you know Paul well. And he put, in his first lesson, he did about 330 people live on Zoom, right? So, and that was our generation. So first they had to learn how to use Zoom, then how to use, because he was doing it on BBO and use BBO. So the teaching of the bridge part was actually relatively quite easy, but he's put through over 1,000 people in the last year, and that's more than all the clubs, the other 350 clubs we have in Australia have put through together combined, right? So now,
that's brilliant. That is brilliant.
So
the challenge is going to be is how to weld those people onto face-to-face eventually.
Absolutely. Now his intention was, because he only has a club in Sydney, was that the people all around Australia, that he, at the end of each of the series of courses that he taught, he would then suggest what their local club was that they go to play the first stage. Right? One of the other things I noticed is you said before, was it how many lessons did you say was in a normal structure in the UK? 20?
Well, we had 3 lots of 10.
Yeah. Now, in Australia, if it took 30 lessons for someone to learn to play bridge in Australia, we wouldn't have anybody playing bridge.
Not face-to-face, I agree.
Right. So the thing is, and I understand in the UK, you've always been very thorough and wanting to teach the systems and that. I don't think it's about that these days. I was talking to an Australian professional who lives in the US this week, Ishmael Del Monte, one of our best players. And he was saying that he believes that when we teach, we actually teach it wrongly, that we're trying to teach system and bidding and this sort of thing at the start, just get them playing cards, winning tricks, get them into playing bridge. And I think that's what it's all about too. I mean,
we wouldn't disagree with that, because we have a system that, not my favorite, but a lot of teachers use it, called mini bridge.
Yes.
Where all you're learning is the value of the cards, not even necessarily a finesse. And I mean, I have a personal view that the best way to start is to play solo or whist, which is the heart of the card play of bridge, in my view. And then actually the bidding system has a linked logic, if you like, because the bidding system really at base reflects the value of the cards that you hold, really, doesn't it? And it's a way of talking about them without talking about them.
The most important thing for teaching is to get the people to come back, because our retention rate of people who start right around the world, as you mentioned before, is about 30% or so. Certainly the online that Marston's doing in Australia has been, he would claim up towards 90, but certainly let's say 75 or 80%, right? Which is a very high retention rate. And the only way we're going to do that is if we make it simpler for people to understand and to enjoy it and want to come back because they like the people, they like the environment, they like the social aspect of it.
I partly agree with that, but not entirely. I'll tell you why I don't agree. When you're teaching face-to-face, you're restricted spatially, access to people, whereas when you're teaching online, you could teach 10,000 people at the same time, theoretically.
Yes.
In other words, you've got access to the whole world, which you just could not possibly have if it was a face-to-face form of teaching.
And Ron, that also applies in Australia because we have such a big geographic country, as you're well aware of.
It's even more important for you in a way.
Yes, because, you know, people living out in regional areas, etc., don't have access to teachers and that sort of thing. And that's where I think the online is really important, to bring all those people into playing the game and introduce them in. And hopefully if we can make it fun online, we might start to get a younger generation. You've been a lot more successful with that in the UK than we have in Australia. I mean,
not sure about youngsters though.
No, you have, for example, an annual event, don't you? The parliamentarians versus the bridge players sort of thing, and younger bridge players play in that.
Yeah. Can I just say, I'm not contradicting what you're saying, but there is another facet to it for what we do, in that maybe I didn't make it clear. After the lessons, there is this supervised play, which is actually practice. So that the theory after each lesson is carried out with practice play on this platform I was talking about. So it's a bit like you have the lesson, here's the menu, then you have the practice play, here's the actual meal, folks. And that is often what captures them for the next lesson.
Look, Ron, in conclusion, I have to say that I've been very impressed by the work that the EBU and yourself have been doing on trying to progress the game, to try and get people learning. Certainly none of us expected that COVID would come along and absolutely wipe out a couple of years for us. But I think what you're doing is absolutely excellent there, and let's hope it works, because the bridge world needs it all over. So look, thank you very much for your contribution today. And
my pleasure.
That's very nice of you. Thank you very much, Ron.
Yeah, keep well. And keep playing bridge.
Funny thing is, Ron, I actually don't play very much bridge today, these days, right?
Shame.
Because, you know, when you're working it all the time, it's hard to have the enthusiasm to go and play it as much, right?
Just spoil your game. But then you see, you know, you've got a spare half hour. You go online on BBO and play.
Absolutely. Look, at the weekend, can't tell anybody this, but I was actually playing in a competition and directing online at the same time.
Most people do.
Most people do. Most people do.
Have you used Real Bridge at all?
Yes.
Don't like it.
Okay, why not?
We will use Real Bridge. The spring congress that we are organising for the EBU is all on Real Bridge.
Leslie, come nearer to the camera because
Can you come and join us?
yeah, we're not recording this anymore.
Before she starts talking, I do want to say this practice play is the yeast in the cooking, if you like, that holds the whole teaching process together.
Absolutely. You've got to get people playing the cards from the first week.
Okay, the way we did it was we met on Zoom with all the clubs. This is how the Yorkshire Initiative, because we call it the Yorkshire Initiative because we put money into it. We wanted to make sure that we did something that was positive and we didn't want to wait. So we got on with it, and we did the presentations, which were by teachers from different clubs. So we had Nick Wolven, who's the chairman of Yorkshire. We had
teachers at Leeds.
We had somebody from Hull. We had somebody from York, and they all did their presentation. But the presentation or the lesson is only 45 minutes, and it's not a PowerPoint. It's got slides and hands and everything else. So it's not just a bullet point thing. And then from then on, you need to have a look at this. It's called Bridge Play UK. It's not .co.uk. It's Bridge Play UK. And the guy who's developed it is a guy called Jim Edwards, who is also a Leeds member and he's a Leeds teacher. And he developed this whole thing. And from the 45 minutes, at some stage, because they don't have to do it immediately, the clubs then took their people and they did the practice play. So it meant that you didn't need full-blown teachers to do the practice play. You needed decent players.
Absolutely.
And that's what they did. They didn't have all the teachers.
What they used to call monitors.
Well, it was assistants. It was whatever you wanted to call them. But they were exceptional. They gave their time for a couple of hours, at least once a week, if not twice. And the presentations we did on the same day every week. We did one in the morning and one in the evening, exactly the same presentation, but one in the morning and one in the evening, so that if people were working, they could come to the evening one and vice versa.
So by doing that, what you had was everybody had ownership of it. It didn't belong just to the presenter.
It didn't belong to the presenter. It didn't belong to Yorkshire. It actually belonged to the clubs, and that's what we wanted it to be.
And that gave it a life and a drive of its own.
It's worked very well. We start again in February with beginners. And in fact, I've just been looking at one before we came on here, which is very sad considering we're sitting in Sydney, but there you go. We're doing like sort of short seminars for the people who've done the course, and they can go on and look at the one I've been looking at today is about memory. So it's all, we hopefully have worked and found out what they wanted, which is what we've done.
So if you're going to start in February, when's your next course? When's your next intake after February?
That is the intake, is February.
For a whole year?
Yes.
See, I think that's totally wrong. If you want to play golf and you walk into the local pro shop, you show him, I want to learn how to play golf. The pro says, grab that club there, we'll go out and have a hit.
Fine, that's golf.
And he takes you out.
If you went to uni and you were going to do a course on, I don't know, memory or whatever the hell it was, you would do a year. You might not attend every lecture, because that's what it's been. It's been like a lecture base. But if you wanted to, you could catch up on that lecture, because that lecture's recorded.
Yeah, no, the recording part is very essential. I agree.
Yeah.
Can I just say, Peter, you're right and you're wrong. You're right, of course, because if there's more option when to start, then you'll get more people. The problem is, it's the resources of the people organising it. And if you want this culture of we're all in it together and all running it, that if it was a fresh start every month, say, that'd take up a terrific amount of people's voluntary time.
See, people of our generation now have so many other things they can do, whether
That's true.
It's painting or pottery or all sorts of hobbies, interests and activities. And when they come in and they say, oh no, well, you've missed it now because it started 2 weeks ago and there won't be one for another year, I don't see how we can survive doing that.
Because you can catch up. Fine, we started it 4 weeks ago. The seminars are here, they're online. We've got practice play that you can also do online, and we're here to help you. That's how it works.
Yeah, I would just keep rotating the beginning and running them all year round.
We could do.
Could do. It means
We could do. We won't. If we start in February, it doesn't say that we're not going to do another course starting at Easter. But the same thing, when I've run the teaching at Leeds Bridge Club, where we had a big membership, and where I say had, because at the moment obviously it's online and you can't get a graph, and we used to have the beginners courses started September, January and Easter, and we used to rotate it. And then the year twos, because a lot of people want to do the second year, also had the same but on the odds, so they would start on the other bits. And it's always worked. I mean, we had loads of people, and I can't knock the people who've attended. What I am upset about is the people that we've lost.
And that's where
In
my
other
job
words,
comes.
in other words, we started with 300 people.
Oh, those people, yeah.
What happened to the 150? Why? It was nothing to do with the length of time. It was just the fact of they probably found it too much to grasp.
Did you do any exit surveys?
No, I haven't done. And I think on this next one, I would like to do that.
What
I
you
want
do-
to know
you
why
do it-
people
you-
are leaving,
You do an entry survey, which I can
Yeah,
see
yeah.
you one,
well,
right?
which we do.
Do an entry survey and ask them what they hope to achieve out of it, right?
Mm.
And put those sorts of questions in there. Then at the end of the course, ask them questions like, how did you find it? Was it, was it?
Yeah, we've done that, but it's the ones that dropped out week on week.
Yeah, but you want their email addresses along the way because you want
Oh, yeah.
Well, you
Back
try
to
and
them.
get the email addresses.
Well, no, I don't.
We're in a country that is so bloody ridiculous with all this bloody.
the only thing that counts is getting the email address.
I
Absolutely.
agree. And you've got this PCR crap or whatever. It's not PCR, that's the test that you have. What do they call it? Where we can't share data, we can't do anything.
what I
No, but
can't
they can voluntarily fill it in, can't they? I mean,
agree.
Yeah.
I agree, but
Peter,
it's the opting out.
Peter,
I think
what
people
can't
are
get
used to it.
across to people is that running bridge as a strategic matter is no different from running Coles or Woolworths or Myers.
I agree, but people are nervous. You can't escape from the fact of, I mean, I while Ron was talking to you, I kept passing these things over to him. And my comments are, yes, we've got problems in the UK, but we have had a lot more lockdown than you have. And a lot higher COVID rates than what's hit you in the last few months.
You're catching
So
up.
that
though.
you're catching us up. In fact, you're ahead of us.
oh yes.
We're not talking about COVID, okay?
Oh,
But that was one of the things.
we've gone insane. Yeah.
And so really, I should say that Australia has only been hit by the pandemic badly since December. So that's that one.
I think you met my friend here, though you probably won't recall her, who plays for Australia.
Yes, I have. We met her in
Remember
the pub.
Okay. So she's in the Australian team to go to Italy now, right?
Okay.
So for the World Championships in March now.
You're not going. You make sure Fancini isn't in the Italian team.
A blue club man is dead.
You know he's a cheat.
You've got to give the Scots credit for that, don't you? You know,
I don't blame them.
that was
I don't blame
very brave of them to stand up and say, no, we won't play against them. And then everybody else followed them after that. But that's really tough to be the first country that does that.
It is.
Right? So, and that was really great. But
And
yeah,
the point is,
but so look, whether Italy will go ahead or not, I don't know. If we're now onto the downslide of the curve, we're just looking at those figures in Australia the last few days. I haven't seen today's figures, but if it's slightly down, I think hospitalizations have gone below 1,000 now, but I don't have the figures in front of me. So if that's true, etc., then it could happen. But, you know, Italy's got bad case and they've got very strong conditions for getting into Italy. But anyway, so she's hoping to go there to play.
The difficulty coming here has been astronomical. The paperwork that's been involved has been horrendous.
Yeah.
But anyway, so
Yeah.
let's just go back to the bridge.
Hang on.
That's-
20th of January, your figures were just short of 64,000.
Yeah, well, of course, the government solved the problem on how many we have with COVID.
Yeah, they just don't do the testing.
Yeah, just don't test them and don't count them. And that's
Don't
the
test
easiest way to solve
Okay.
that problem.
Right, so let's just go back to what we were talking about on bridge, because excuse me, effing hate discussions on COVID. I'm a bit like my daughter.
Okay.
Just don't talk about it anymore. I'm sick of listening to it. Right. One of the other things I put on was the fact of, apart from discussing about online bridge, BBO is free. No matter what you do, you can go on. I mean, we're here, we're playing BBO because we're not playing in our clubs because of the timing. Okay, so we can't play. I'm not going to get up at 5 o'clock in the morning or whatever.
Yeah, sure.
So BBO is free and you can go in any time of the day or night. And I think that's why we've lost social players.
Well, I think
Because I know friends of mine, I know I do. I play with 4 ladies on a Friday morning. We've played ever since the beginning of lockdown. They are absolutely garbage players, but they are getting something out of it. And that for me is important.
Oh, you're not telling the full story.
Well,
Because while she's playing, she's got a shared FaceTime screen on her phone.
Yeah.
So they can chat. So you've actually got the social content with the virtual
and I know
player.
an awful lot of the females that I know, you know, I've walked past people's houses in the summer and the windows have been open, and I've walked past somebody I know and I've shouted, "Are you playing bridge, Suzanne?" She said, "Yes, we are." And, you know, they're all playing, they're playing on BBO. The other thing that I wanted to say was we have a club in Huddersfield Bridge Club, always had a reasonably high standard, as now addressing itself as a social bridge club. It does
Yes.
not think that it will go back to being a competitive bridge club. And there are some of the bridge clubs in Yorkshire. One of them I'm a member of. I mean, I've never been a member of 3 bridge clubs. I am now. I'm a member of an online one, Leeds, and I'm a member of Wetherby. Wetherby has not put its results in for, you know, the
Ranking.
green points, black
Yeah,
points,
yeah,
blue points, or whatever they call them here in
master
they
points, yeah.
yeah, they can elect not to do that.
So in effect, they're a social club.
But what they're saying is, we think there is excuse me about this, there is an element that can happen of people chatting to each other while they're playing, and we don't think that this should go down for master points.
Well, there's a lot of cheating going on.
There'll be cheating.
We've had dozens of cases in England.
Leslie, any chance, did you, presumably you put out an instruction page, etc., for your, how you would, people were to do the learning, right? Can you send me a copy of that as to what?
I will get David Guild, who has been organising, or he's put hours and hours of work into this. It's brilliant. He was our bridge development officer for Yorkshire, and he's just worked with it all. I'll do a hello, Peter, this is David. And if you communicate with him,
Okay.
I'm absolutely certain he will let you know.
Did you look through my manual on for our people how to do hands-on for bridge?
I haven't as of yet, but I'm sure, you know,
If you could have a look at that, I would appreciate your views on that.
send it to David as well,
David-
because he's
David's the one.
brilliant. He's actually said that the New Zealand people have been very with it.
He's their benchmark.
It's
Sorry,
his
they are his
it's part
benchmark.
of his benchmark. is
Can
the
I make
New
a
Zealand.
suggestion?
Yeah.
I don't know what the timing difference is like, but perhaps Peter could log on to the first presentation just to get the feel of it.
Yeah, the next one is in February, and it's not going to be quite the same, Ronnie, because you can have it at any time.
Right.
So we could send, it's a
Doesn't matter
different
what
form.
time it is for me, I'm up
No,
all
no, it
right.
doesn't make any difference though, Pete, because it's being done as a recording. So, and all the next lot of sessions are being done by one person rather than all different people.
Yeah.
Jim Edwards is doing it, the guy that's organised the bridge play. And to be honest, we are paying him to develop it.
Okay.
So that becomes now the gateway from what you were suggesting is, why do you have a monthly start time, say?
Yeah.
Yeah. Can I just make one point? We
You
need
can
to
make any
learn.
points you want to. Yep.
We need to learn from.
Exactly.
We need to learn from what other virtual operations are doing.
Yep.
So you take the computer game like Minecraft,
Yep.
which everybody from 7 to 70 plays, but they have face-to-face events as well, like great reunions, congresses, whatever you want it to be, where they all meet up and talk and play and this sort of thing. So maybe that would be a route for those we've just taught virtually.
Look,
What we don't want to do,
as you know, those
to be fair,
e-games.
when you said there were no young ones, we've actually, the university, York University, have
Yeah.
one of the girls who was organising the bridge club there, because they formed a bridge club. She came to all of them, and she sent me lots of, questions and various other things. I don't think that youth is dead. I think that they have other things at this stage that can take their mind onto things, and I think we've been very slow
Yeah.
to come online when all these other games have been there ahead of us.
It was actually an opportunity.
Okay, so yeah, if you could send me David's contact as soon as
I
possible.
will.
'cause we-
I'll
'cause-
do all of that, and I'll say, hello, Peter, this is David, and hello, David, this is Peter.
Thank you very much if you could
That's
do that.
absolutely fine. And then
Okay.
also have a look at, if you could get the chance to communicate with Jim Edwards, and he is actually Bridge Play UK.
Well,
it's not a .co.uk, it's Bridge Play UK.
we'll give you. I'll
Give you, I'll
give
copy
it
him.
hello for him as well.
I'll do
Okay,
it
send us
as
that
well.
too. All right.
He'd be happy for you to use his platform if you thought it useful.
Yeah, no, I'll look at it. I have looked at, I don't know if I've actually seen that one, so let's have a look.
What he has is there's like 4 or 5, a bit like Real Bridge, where you can have different tables, but you can see, as a director, you can see every table playing. That's what he's done.
Because we're using Real Bridge for all our big competitions here.
You are now?
Yeah, we have been for the last year. Yeah.
Oh, I don't know.
Happy with it?
Yeah. Look, Shireen and the other guy have put in a huge amount of work on it. It's left BBO for dead. To get BBO, we raised over $1 million for clubs out of BBO. But to get them to make any technical upgrades, etc., is just about impossible.
But they did do the video for about a week, and then it's disappeared.
Yeah, and I mean, you take something like a Swiss event, right? And on BBO, you can play the same people 2-3 times in an event, right?
You can.
I think that's
They
called,
call it Dutch Swiss.
It's-
yeah,
Dutch
Dutch
Swiss.
or Danish or one of those things.
Danish, it's double Danish, I think, whatever it is.
Which is
The
just,
only thing is, I don't know whether I find Real Bridge is a bit silent.
how
and
long are
you
you here
can-
for?
Me,
You haven't,
We're
when
here-
are you going back?
Another week.
another week.
Another week. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. It's been great today. Thank you very much.
Okay,
And-
I tried to have a look before Ronnie started to speak with you. I started to have a troll round on the results from various clubs, just to see if I could see how your table numbers had been affected. And I couldn't get into Double Bay, because that's obviously where we've played a few times.
yeah, well, Paul,
Is he maintaining levels?
he is certainly down. Everybody's down, right?
I don't know. I looked on Noosa Bridge Club, which is where we've played before.
Yeah.
And they have A, B, and C streams, and they were probably got about 30 tables altogether, which I don't think is bad.
Which was more or less the same as when we played face to face.
Yeah, we went there face to face. I mean, it's a nice. I don't know if you've ever been there, but it's a nice club. It's Noosa Bridge Club.
Paul's doing 400 to 500 tables a month.
Online.
No, altogether, both club and online.
All right, now, if you took the online out, how many is he getting face
Well,
to face?
both of them differ according to when people are nervous, like at the moment, the club's down and online's up. And back when we've had stages where they've all been happy that Australia's, nirvana, some of the people, people went back to the clubs. It's we've been talking about the last 10% who don't go back that we worry about losing, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we've been here since December. We've all had COVID, so, we're used to it now. We just,
Can
the
I
whole
ask,
family, so.
can I ask you, when he's playing at Double Bay, virtual and face to face, are they separate events or are they linked?
No, you know what? No, because he's doing it on BBO. No, but I've been interested in my own club into doing a hybrid one where I could both have online and the club playing at the same time. I don't know technically how we'll go with that, but that can be done.
You need to speak to them at the EBU because they did that in the summer congress, and Ron and I played at home because we weren't travelling down to Eastbourne, and they did a hybrid.
But it was
whether I thought it was right or not, it had a lot of hiccups.
But it was two parallel streams, wasn't it?
It doesn't matter.
They merged the
As long as
results
they
after.
merge the results. And you
But
play
both were playing the
houses,
same boards at the same
You're
time.
all playing the same board.
Yeah.
That doesn't matter. The merging is not.
I think the concept is quite a sound concept, right?
Okay. It is, but is it the right? I mean, I put the EBU are obviously communicating a lot more with their clubs and counties than they have done in the past, and we're putting sort of questions forward. And one of my thoughts has been to be discussed is, should these big congresses still be the norm, or should they have smaller, more intimate ones where they are a bit more friendly, if you like, but they will encourage people to go, maybe only having, I don't know, 20, 25 tables in a much more intimate situation than having 50, 100 or whatever it is. I don't know. It's a thought. I think people.
One of the ways I looked at that was a physical way, and that was that for weekend events that people could drive to and drive home from each day, or perhaps stay one night, right? But and where versus the national event where you had to catch a plane or drive for 8 days.
Absolutely.
And that so they are national. Therefore, if you like, in American terms, like regional for the things. So, you're probably prepared to drive an hour or two if you have to get to a weekend, to a weekend tournament. So that's another way of looking at it, I think.
Except I think congresses in their present format, which I'm probably agreeing with Leslie, are going to die as their participants die.
Well, that's what I was raising earlier when we were doing the interview and doing the thing, right?
But excuse me, with the greatest respect, Peter, you were raising this 2 years ago when we met up with you.
Yeah.
The same thing. I mean, what you've got the Gold Coast Congress. What's happening with that?
Well, it's coming up in a few weeks' time. Like Giselle doesn't want to go. She doesn't want to take the chance on getting COVID before going to Italy. I'm very, I don't want to have to wear a mask for a whole day indoors each day.
No, of course you don't.
That's a bit of a worry, right?
I would just be interested. Are you allowed to sort of ask him how his numbers are going?
Are you allowed to?
Ask him how his numbers are going.
Whose?
Well, at the Gold Coast Congress.
Oh, I can tell you, I exactly know what the numbers are. I keep them every day. Yeah, we're about half.
Half.
That's good, actually.
But does it wash its face though?
Look, I know there was a meeting this morning between our organisation and the organisers up there. Look, we have a huge financial commitment.
That's what I'm saying. Does it wash its face, or are you going to
the rent on for the convention centre, right?
Massive.
So we really can't afford to pull out. If we're not going to play, we need the government to ban us from playing.
Are you legally committed already?
Yeah, of course you are. There's a convention centre. Our rent is $300,000 for the week.
Shit.
You're not going to wash your face on that, are you?
No. So now, the question I'm asking.
The EBU lost money on their summer congress.
Yeah. And you
lot of
know
money.
what? And I know what the conference organisers are going to do. They're going to turn around to the ABF and say, "Oh well, you know, will you fund the money that we've lost?"
No, they won't. Just the
No.
same as we won't fund anything the EBU have
Well,
lost.
aren't they going to say to the conference centre, A, terribly sorry we're out. B, can you drop your price? C, can we just have part of the building?
Yeah, we've got. I think we have reduced the space, but you know, the big thing would be the best way out for us probably would be if the Premier stopped people from going to Queensland.
They won't do that.
Well, no, the Premier of Queensland may stop you coming in.
They won't
Yeah, that's
do
what I
that.
say,
There's going to be
Anastasia,
no more bans. I'm afraid there's going to be no more bans.
So yeah. So look, that's really worrying. You know, it's a few weeks to go, and hell, you know, and I obviously I should go for the ABF because I, you know, work for them, as we're well aware. But you know, I'm a bit hesitant, I must admit. Will it still have the same vibe of restaurants and going out at night and all that sort of thing, the usual thing that they have there?
Listen, at least you don't have to worry about going in lifts, because if you've got people going upstairs like they did at this summer congress of the
Oh, yeah.
EBU, they could only get 2 people to go in a lift at the time, and some of the stuff was upstairs. It was a nightmare. But they had very, very few people.
Did they?
Yeah.
Yeah,
It was ridiculous.
and you know, the other thing is you seem to be getting on with, you seem to have a much better repartee, etc., cooperation from your counties than we do our state bodies in Australia.
It's getting better, and the EBU directors are aware it needs to be made better, and that the shove for it comes from them. In fact, what we've just decided is that I and another pushed in, it was agreed that each director would have 4 or 5 counties that he talks to on a regular basis. Sorry, he or she talks on a regular basis.
Yeah.
So that there's a channel of communication. And when they used to meet once a year, they're now going to meet 3 times a year. And the agenda is going to be set by chairman of the
Which is what I'm
counties.
saying, being set by the chairman of the county tonight. And I've been communicating with our chair to get him to, well, he's one of those that's instigating the agenda. And I sent him a list of things that I think should be discussed.
And the logic's been, well, the cutback on staff and so on. We can't do this on our own. We need you, the counties, to work with us and help us.
Oh yeah, I mean it's a big sea change, and it's also going to be a long road back. If it ever gets,
Well, it's going to be a parallel road, actually.
well, I don't think it will get
They'll
that.
change the
I
game.
genuinely think it will not go back to what it was before. Ronnie's right. Why should I go and play in a club? Why? What is a
Well,
club?
I didn't
offering
want to
me?
say on tape before, but for me, playing from home, all the advantages you have. Don't have to go out at night, can do it sitting at my desk. I can do my emails at the same time, do other things at the same time. Certainly from directing point of view, yeah, much prefer it online.
But you lose the social content,
That-
which is vital for some people.
Well, do you
Yes.
lose it on Real Bridge? At least you're seeing everybody as you're playing.
See, the social content to me was probably important 20 years ago, 10 years ago, perhaps even 5 years ago. But now from COVID, I don't really care about the social side. And that's a worry, isn't it? Because that's the glue that holds us.
Well, have you become antisocial then?
Oh, I've always been antisocial.
Is that why you're good at marketing?
No, I'm just antisocial. Oh, now my friend Samantha, right? You know, when you read the thing about the program I'm trying to do, I want it to be energized and live and all of that sort of thing. Sam wants to contribute, and she sent me a video that she made. For the English, it'd be okay. It's not much good for Australians, though. And I like Sam. She's really nice, and we did all that work
Are you
together.
talking about Sam Punch?
Yeah, we did all that
Okay.
work together for the BAMSA conference, etc. And I did, you know, the 3 videos which you saw for the BAMSA conference, etc. But
I did
yeah,
go to the
it was still old style, boring stuff, right? So, you know, it's got to be, and that's when you look at it, 3 to 5 minute stories, just like how we make commercial television, short stories, fun, entertaining. If the person doesn't like it, they know in another 5 minutes, there'll be a different story and they may like that story.
Well, this is why the way that we've taught bridge has been 40 minutes. bang, and then you go and play.
Yep.
And that's how we've done it. And because from a teacher's point of view, and I don't know whether you're a teacher, but I am a teacher by profession, I know what people's concentration is. And as you get older, your concentration is even worse.
Definitely.
So you can't do with any more than that amount of time, because you're looking at the walls or checking out the painting at the back of you, or, you know, doing something other than you should be, or even, with the greatest respect, falling asleep.
Mhm.
And in addition, you're going to make it exciting.
It's got to be fun, and people have got to be, you know, yeah. But I'm having great trouble getting people to make the videos for me. And that's why I wondered whether you had a simpler way, if I went back to PowerPoint things, whether people would feel less challenged doing it on PowerPoint.
Why don't you, I'll get David
Yeah.
to also send you some of the videos that we've done of, I mean, I'm honest, we've had people making presentations who have, in my view, there's only been one out of the 6 presenters that hasn't been absolutely wonderful.
They've been stunning.
They have been stunning. There was the most wonderful, she's Asian, I think.
And she was very nervous.
She was worried, and then once she swung into her lectures, she held you. You know, you couldn't. I mean, I knew exactly what she was doing, and I was still concentrating. Do you know what I mean? It was that sort of thing.
See, technology-wise, today is interesting for me, because I did one with America last week, and the return signal, like yours would be a return signal for me, was not good quality. And yet this one today, the picture of you is fine quality. Now, is that because our broadband's better here, etc.?
No, we're in Sydney.
We're around the corner.
I know, that's what I'm saying, but doesn't matter. It shouldn't make any difference.
No, but I've come off everything.
Now, did you say you're doing it on an iPad? Is that what you said you're doing it on?
He's
Yeah.
on an iPad.
iPad, yeah.
Yeah, but also I've not got my phone going, my other iPad going, nothing. So it's pure broadband. But I don't know what this broadband is. But
Does
we've
an
I
got
do.
iPad, does
What
that,
broadband are you on, Peter?
5G. Are you on 5G?
No, who's the provider?
I'm on, we're on Telstra here. We get 50 meg down and 20 meg up. So we're,
This is Optus.
yeah.
Right,
So-
but at the end of the day, have a look at what David sends you.
Yeah,
I'm
that's
sure
what I
you
would look
will.
at. But
You may or may not like it. We haven't taken everybody off the actual, you know, we've got people down the side of the screen, but at the end of the day, they were really good.
okay.
And there was quite a bit of animation, there was some hands.
If you could send, I know how the Zoom part works because I did all that with Paul, right? And, you know, where we had 350 or so people on at the one time. But it's,
Yeah, you've got to pay for the Zoom.
I'm looking at
package,
how
which
to
is
do
what we do.
the teaching thing so that I can get more people to volunteer, to give us hands and to do things for us. I
You
think
don't need to be
You
given.
don't need it.
You don't need to be given hands. The big
I-
thing you need is for people to be there to the guided play.
no, we're on two different subjects.
Guided play.
I'm talking about Bridge TV here. I'm
And
talking about Bridge TV. I'm not talking about
Ah.
now. I
why
want
would you want Bridge TV?
read my stuff that I sent you.
Yeah, but I mean, this is Bridge TV, isn't it?
Yeah, but this is an interview part of it. The most important thing that came out of my research that people wanted to do was to improve their standard of bridge, right? That means bidding, play and defence, right? So yes, we want to do a whole lot of those 3 to 5 minute things, one hand at each time.
Okay.
And-
Slightly different approach, but okay.
So they go through, look, I was playing in a Congress last week and you know, this is the hand I had and this is what happened. This is what the opposition did. This is what we did, you know, got this wrong, cost us 15 imps and cost us the tournament, you know?
So you're
So who is going to be making the decision on what they should have done then?
Or what they should see.
Yeah.
Me,
No, on what they should have done with the hand that they made a mess of.
a person who sends it in can do that. They may be right or wrong. People can agree or disagree. I don't care.
so this is the TV equivalent of a newspaper bridge column.
No, well,
Where
yeah.
they show you one or two hands.
No, it's what I call a lifestyle program. So, look, I'll tell you, Antiques Roadshow would be an example in the UK.
Oh no, you can't do anything to the Antiques Roadshow. You asked Ronnie, it's my absolute favourite.
See,
And I am the absolute opposite to the Antiques Roadshow.
She'll
I
throw
throw
everything.
everything away.
but you see, I picked that you'd like it in one, right?
Oh yeah.
And look at all the house design ones there are these days, right? And the gardening shows. The gardening shows go fantastic.
I get what you're saying.
Right?
It's like-
Short
it's like
stories.
activity.
And I want contributions from clubs and from players and all that sort of thing. And I want to use Sam as well. You've got to understand that no one in Australia has heard of Sam, right?
Yeah.
Except, a couple of dozen people at the top. But,
Sam Punch.
you know,
Did the research at Stirling University.
Oh, I know who Sam Punch is.
see, even there's a good example. All right, I have to go.
Go.
Yeah, keep well.
Say thanks to John Hollands as well, who's been recording all of this and listening.
Thanks, John.
I reckon I could teach him to play bridge, reasonable bridge in a month.
I reckon, how old is he?
He's our age.
Forget it.
Hang on.
As a teacher and a teacher of bridge, forget it.
Hang on. No. Here's the question.
Perhaps
Is
we
he a
use him as a
tiny-
bunny to try it out.
No. Is he a tidy and fastidious person or not?
Oh, I don't know the answer to that one really, but all I can say is he picks it up quickly. I'll tell you what I have just been doing. I have been doing profiles for all our top players. I'm trying to get our top players like in other sports, so we have champions that people recognize, etc. Right? So anyway, I got them all to do profiles for each of them.
Oh, God help you.
What do you mean? What do you mean profile?
Good as that profile.
A profile on themselves. I sent them a questionnaire, they filled it in. It's now up on the internet, right? And I can tell you, some of the stories of the people are really interesting.
Oh yeah.
What their backgrounds are and where they come from and what they do, etc. There's even a few poems on the list, right?
Oh, how could you even say that?
So the point is, yeah, we have to make ourselves more contemporary and fun and that sort of thing. Because, I was watching the JLL series out of the US last night because Ishmael, my friend, had made the last 8 teams, right? Which has been a great effort because he's got basically a youth team. And they had, Max Stroff and Rodwell and all of them. Max Stroff was playing, not Rodwell. But all the top players in the world, which are in America, basically, were playing, plus the top.
No, they're not.
Yeah, we let some of those Scandinavian countries.
Yeah, they're not. You know them.
But
Well, there's certainly
The only thing is, it's better than our British or English cricket team. Anything could be better than them.
we don't have a cricket team.
no, but the thing about it was there were under 100 people, less than 100 people watching this world standard game last night on BBO.
Oh, it was a view graph on last night.
Yeah. So the point is this: people are only interested in their own bridge. They're not interested in anybody else's bridge.
No, I find the view graphs so boring. I don't know what to do with them.
Okay. Yeah, well, that's the point.
Yeah,
So it's
absolutely.
hard to make these things interesting, isn't it?
Yes.
Anyway,
Well,
tell your daughter that I thought the painting was really interesting.
No, we're not.
we're in a bit Airbnb.
We're in an apartment.
Oh, are
We
you?
can't-
Okay.
We can't stay with them because they've got 2 small children and they're working from home. So
I
they've
wonder
got
where the
no
kids.
room.
I wonder why the kids weren't making a noise all day.
Oh no, they've all been beaten up. You've missed them. They came earlier.
Well,
Okay.
talking of interesting, I wanted to tell you as a side. There's a Walt Disney cartoon made in, I think, the 1920s,
Mhm.
where the playing cards come to life.
Yeah, I know it. Yep.
And the knave fights with the king and tries to steal the queen and all that.
Okay,
sort of stuff.
so I have a whole lot of material from back in those days. The Marx Brothers, etc.
Yeah, well, lovely.
Yeah.
All of that stuff, right? I'm wanting Giselle to, because she loves history and doing docos. I'd like her to make little short 2-3 minute clips using those sorts of things from the past, right?
Yeah.
I don't know, perhaps English would find them perhaps more interesting than Australians would. I'm just not.
Why is that? Because the Australians don't have any humour.
No, we don't have, no, we're easily distracted unless it's got a ball flying somewhere we're not interested,
Yeah, or a beach.
I won't be critical of Australians. I think they're great. They
Okay.
say exactly what they mean and they don't mess about.
All right, I have to go. Thank you very
well.
much. This has been fun. We can do it again before you. Well, more to the point, we'll do it in England because I want to see what your picture looks like from England.
Well, I have to say,
Pleasure.
but if I could turn the camera, which I can't, turn the camera, because we have, I don't know whether you can see this, we've got two lovebirds.
I can see
Actually,
them. Yeah. That's
yes.
Very
Isn't
cute.
that sweet?
Very cute.
Anyway, we love and
Right.
leave you. God bless. Bye-bye.
Keep well, Peter.
Thank you. Thanks, Leslie.
Cheers. Bye.
Bye.
Go on.
Well, there we are.
Are you exhausted?
That last little bit, which we can't use because you said we weren't recording, so that's
Oh, don't worry. If you've got anything interesting in it, we can use it. But but look, John,
have a look at your picture at the moment.
yep. I actually think the English have it wrong.
You need to be more centre frame.
I was earlier on, but I've moved.
Yeah.
I think the English have it wrong. 30 lessons to learn to play bridge before you can play in a club sort of thing. What a load of crap, right? If any of us couldn't play it after 4 weeks, we'd want to not play bridge.
Yeah. Also, you're banging something and your picture jumps.
Yeah, okay. I'm only talking about the basics of bridge. I'm not talking about anything fancy. But, I reckon, as I said, I reckon in a month you could play bridge enough to survive in a club. And, to them, it's a year before you'll be able to play in a club. Very old styled English approach to a lot
They
of it.
must be dealing with very dull people.
But, at least they were animated people. Anyway, they're nice people. He's a great contact for me in the English Bridge Union because I get their stuff and he gets my stuff, etc.
Yeah. Now, it was a fairly lively conversation. I tended to think that a lot of the points you made could have been made by you asking him a question.
Yeah.
But that comes with practice.
I felt that too.
And that guy, David Wills.
Is that what his name was it? Let's see what we get from him. Yeah.
Well, let's interview him.
Okay, well, let's see. Let's get contacts first. Yeah, that's why I asked them. That's why I pushed it after you. I saw your chat, and that's why I pushed them to get some stuff from him, just so we have a way of contacting him then. But I want to see also what they do, whether it's any value to us or not.
Well, even if it's not, we've got a machine to fill.
Yeah, absolutely. I no, fully agree.
And that other guy whose name I didn't recall.
No, neither could I. Couldn't get it either. But we've got to look it up. Hang on, I'll look it up now while I'm talking to you.
No, don't worry about it. We've got a recording. That's why I thought it was funny when someone mentioned the name. I saw you dive off as if to write it down. I thought, we've got 2 recordings. You've been recording, haven't you?
Yep.
Yeah.
UK.
Now, I can see a bit of a problem where, like at the end, I didn't want to jump in, but at the end, their camera was as wonky as they get.
Yep. I think you can jump in because we can edit out the jump in part.
Oh yeah, no, yeah, of course, but it's just the flow of things. I don't want to.
Yeah, no, I understand that. But if you get worried, call a halt to it as you go along, right? Listen, I've got to do a bloody art job now. Fucking oath. Last thing.
What?
Art. Got to design a bloody thing to go out on the internet tonight. So I've got to lay out and do graphics, etc.
That's not your forte, is it?
No, so I hate doing it. But you know what? If I don't do it, it's the only way it gets done, and it gets done fast, and it gets done for nothing, sort of thing. And
Now, I'm a bit concerned because you're still banging your camera. So what?
I'm just anxious now. Look, anyway, the picture quality looked good to me. Let's see how it looks on the replay.
You need to be a bit more camera left, which has moved to your right.
Yep.
I think you're worrying about the background and you're trying to push yourself off to the side.
Yeah, I was. Yeah, I was conscious of that.
Yeah, but don't. Just put yourself in the middle.
So do you think we should move that further up the screen so I don't have so much of a problem with it? We can't move it much further left on the screen.
No, you can't. But look, just put yourself right in the middle of the screen and see what it looks like. Yeah, your head's
It's okay there. It's off my shoulder if it stays there.
still not in the centre of the screen.
Do you think it should be higher or not?
No, you put yourself in the centre of the screen. Not in the centre.
See, that's what I was worried about.
That's all right. A bit of an overlap's not a problem. But
Okay,
it can go. It can go higher.
Anyway, all right.
You need to be conscious of the fact that when you lean forward,
Yeah, my top of my head touches it.
well, the top of your head disappears.
Hmm.
And of course, if you look at my head, you see as I get near the top of the frame,
Yeah.
it does that little.
Yep, I know. That's what I said before. That's what I meant. It touches or whatever you want to call it. Okay.
But that's all right. We just refine.
How do you think on his interview, what's the best way for me to be able to say to you the bits that I'm interested in and not interested in?
There's three ways. One of them being a perfect memory on your part. And perfect
Oh, please, look at me at my age.
Secondly, I can send you a time-coded
Good idea. Okay.
version.
Yep. What's the third version?
The third version is I can put it up. I think I've got the space. I can put it up on the words aren't coming to me. There's a website designed for this.
Hey,
So you put it up there and people can watch and at any point they can stop and they type in a comment. And that comment gets linked to that point of the video.
Okay.
And then I get sent a thing saying, Peter said at 2 minutes, this is not right.
Okay, some of my stuff you can probably cut out, but the point is I try to add back. So I know the people at the other end are never going to have the names and the numbers, etc., for me. So if I don't, so it's much easier for me to feed them the numbers and for them to comment on the numbers than hope they'll have the numbers and be able to tell me them, right? Because people don't.
Yeah, it's not a quiz show. Not even in quiz shows, they give them the answers or give them the questions. When I went on Blind Date, remember that show?
Yeah, I do. Yeah, and the rest
Graham Webb, Blind Date. They gave us the questions. It was a bit of a shock for a 19-year-old boy, but I think they gave everyone the questions.
Well, I haven't done many. The only show I know that does that I go on is The Project. That they go through and do the questions and answers and all that sort of thing, and they work up a script, etc., for their guests. I don't have the time or the patience for that, but that's what they do.
But what I'm saying is that regular TV shows feed stuff to their interview subjects.
Yeah.
Feed the information. Not only is there nothing wrong with it, it's standard practice.
No, they feed the questions and they feed the answers. And, one of the things, yeah, anyway, so.
Yeah, what I'm saying is, yes, do that. Supply them with the information you think they should have.
Look, I've had times when I've looked up on them, been doing an interview with someone, I can see their questions in front of them. And I've said, oh, don't use those questions. Just give me these two words, put any sentence around them you like me to talk about. And that's what they do. And that's, works well for a lot of interviews.
But that's like, I used to date a girl who was the talent coordinator.
Yep.
For the Mike Walsh show.
Yep.
And it was only casual affair sort of thing, but she's in LA now full time. And she invented Judge Judy. That was one of her,
Oh, yeah, yeah.
one of the two girls who invented Judge Judy, and she's made millions from it. But she would occasionally ring me up and say things like, "What are you doing? You want to have dinner with me and Debbie Reynolds?"
Yeah.
And I go, "Yeah, sure." So Kay would have lunch with the stars and dinner with them and so on. And the thing that Walsh had, his clipboard, that's what her job was, to make that. But 9 times out of 10, you know, she'd just indicate to the stars. She wouldn't give them the questions. But you've always got to indicate to them. You've got to say, he wants to talk about your film, your divorce, and your drug habits.
Of course, it works the other way around these days, that the PR people for the stars, they provide their own questions and answers.
Always did. Always did.
Oh, and it's a real pain in the fucking ass.
No, it's showbiz. That's how it works. There's very few shows where people come on if they haven't got a movie to plug or haven't got an album to plug.
Oh, yeah, they won't come on otherwise. If it's not in their contract that they have to appear, they won't. But,
Yeah, but also after Return to Eden, we sent Rebecca Gilling to the States to do publicity because our partner was CBS with Return to Eden. And there was and her agent insisted she had to have a first class ticket. We were like, "Oh, well, you know, business class isn't too bad." No, got to be first class. So in the end, we gave her a first class ticket. Next thing I know, she's at the airport having a big fight because she's trying to trade her first class ticket into 2 economies so her boyfriend could go.
Yeah.
And that wasn't the sort of ticket we bought. We didn't buy one that we can, you know, we bought one with restrictions, not meaning to, but as you do. And the thing is, if she'd have said to us, "Can I take my boyfriend?" we would have said, "Sure." You know, we were rich producers. We just had a show on Australian TV that rated 60. I mean, we were gods. But she didn't think of it. And so, but the public, so a lot of people are innocent. Like poor old Taylor Swift, who sold out all her shit when she was 13, 15 or whatever.
Yeah.
Now can't get it back. So she's re-recording it. Good on her. But yeah, it's always.
When we started off at 7, part of our contract was an allowance for travel, and the travel was organised through 7. And you know what? It became such a pain in the ass to us because when you've got crews flying around the country, as you know, or flying around the world, they've got to be able to change their schedules all the time because you don't know how the story is going to develop, where they have to go, all that sort of thing. And it was such a pain in the ass that in the end we said to them, "Just give us the money, we'll pay our own fares, own airfares, etc., to get over the problem." You know, but
yeah, there's a nice story about credit cards. I was at Channel 10 when we went to see Steve Cosser, who was running. Not Channel 10, but he was the EP of, what was the name of it? The Journalists or the...
Yeah, I knew Steve quite well, yeah.
What was it? I can't remember the name of the show. In the end, it had John Laws fronting it.
Did he die or something?
Cosser?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought so.
Yeah. The Reporters, that's what it was called.
Yeah, the Reporters, yeah.
And I was there when as you know, part of the management team, when we all went in there and said, "Mate, there's a lot of rumours, but we're behind you 100%. You know, we're backing you 100%, which we weren't." And I was also there when they said, "You've been axed, fuck off."
Yeah.
But what he did, the head of security, Jim the dickhead, was very unpopular, forgot to collect Cosser's credit cards.
Oh, yeah.
So on the Friday when he was axed, Cosser just said to his entire staff, "Right, off to La Perla," which is, you know, the restaurant they liked. So they all went to La Perla and ate and drank for lunch. Had, by all accounts, a fantastic lunch. And at about 4:45, Costa went to the boss of the Perla, who he knew because they'd all been going there. You know, we all went there for
Sure.
times. And he said, mate, all the champagne you've got in the cellar and all the good wines you've got, bring them all out and put them on this card and process it before 5 p.m. I had a great admiration for Steve because of that, because he was technically still employed until 5 and there was no limit on his card.
Yeah, sure.
So he racked up, you know, and I remember a week later in the boardroom where people were very annoyed. But then old Tom Barnett, he just said, guys, just a fucking round of drinks, you know, get over it. So, which it was, because those days in 10, again, we had plenty of money. We had 2 helicopters, all that sort of thing. But anyway.
You know what, watching Curios the other night and, you know, him playing with Kokonaskas, the 2Ks or whatever they call themselves, double K or whatever it is. You know, they were unpopular with the people that they beat. They didn't take losing very well and felt that they were too show busy and all that sort of thing. And as he was saying afterwards, these people have got to understand we're in the entertainment business. All right?
Yeah.
Bridge, that tennis is just going to die if it's left the way it is.
Yeah.
You know, it has to be more entertaining, and that's the same with bridge. But the British are fighting really hard against that.
Yeah. Well, back when I was racing motorbikes,
Yeah.
I had a buddy who was a car racer, quite an up and coming one, but he didn't really, he almost cracked it. But he showed me his sponsorship proposal. And what I found really interesting was that, first of all, he didn't talk about his skill. It talked about decorating the car. You know, so if you paid him money, where you got your sticker. And it also said that he intends to win. Any race, he intends to win. And he believes he's got the team and skill to do that. However, if it becomes apparent in the race